District. The Board of Education acknowledges that we are on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. We would like to thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working with their children. I'd just like to remind everybody that we are doing a live feed and that this meeting tonight will be recorded. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of our agenda.
For you, that the Board of Education, that the Board of School District number 71, Comox Valley, adopt the December 19, 2023 board meeting agenda as presented.
Second, thank you. Trustee Maysack, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And I see no opposed. The next, number 3 is the board meeting minutes. Who would like to move this motion?
A motion that the Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, adopt the November 28, 2023 regular public board meeting minutes as presented.
And the seconder. How? Any discussion? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. No unfinished business. Number 5 on our agenda today is the record of in-camera meeting minutes and reports. We had a regular in-camera meeting on November the 28th, 2023. I'd just like to welcome you all to the meeting tonight, and for those people who are at home eating their meal, or maybe wrapping or eating cookies, or watching this recorded. Great to have everybody watching our meeting in some form or another in this busy time of year. I do have a board chair report in our agenda package, and I'll just share the last sentence with everybody, and just hoping that everyone may move forward into the new year with gratitude and kindness, and hopefully with some time to recharge in a way that brings you. This feels like a nice way to start the night. And next, we have a presentation. And Superintendent Dixon, could I ask you to introduce the first, please?
Absolutely. I'd like to introduce our international school program team and our district principal, Mr. Greg Kohanek. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having us. And I realize you have a full agenda tonight, so I'll keep it to the 10 minutes that we've been allocated. Just as for some people, they know about our program. But, you know, I was sitting at a meeting, I'm sorry to call you out, Teresa, but I was sitting at a meeting with our principals and vice principals about a month ago, and I had a couple of conversations with people who are administrators in our district who were saying, what is it that you do? I'm not really sure. You know, I was saying I got back from Mexico on a marketing trip. So, you know, it feels like we could probably do a brief summary in the 10 minutes, and that's my goal tonight. So we took 30 slides, got them down to 11, and my goal is 10 minutes or thereabouts. But before I do so, I do want to introduce 2 members of my team, because our goal was to do a big presentation. I wanted people to realize this program is more than me. Obviously, everybody probably knows that. But to my left, your right, is Josie Jung. She's senior manager for the program. She's awesome. 2 master's degrees from different universities, multilingual, and just generally an awesome person. Yunhee Edmonds has been with our program for 17 years, trained teacher, knows everything about our program, is the story keeper for our program, and I count on her for so much. So this is kind of our leadership group in our program. Starting with the history, this would be a Yunhee slide if ever there was one, but this program has been around since 2005. We started with students from Korea and from Germany, basically a 50-50 split. And presently, we're sitting at about 250 or so international students from 24 different countries. For those people who haven't been to our office, we're located at the Comox Elementary site. We have a portable there that overlooks the water. You're welcome anytime, obviously. And just so you know, we're part of a larger community as well. So for those people who don't know anything about international education, we're not a one-off here. We're one of about 11 programs on Vancouver Island and one of 32 programs in British Columbia. We are a well-established program. We're very popular, although the ski hill is not what it probably could be right now. It's what draws a lot of people to the Comox Valley. So basically, we split our program into two different streams, basically. We have a fee-paying stream and a non-fee-paying or non-revenue generating stream. And we're big believers in both. And what really separates us from other international programs is that I would say out of the 32 international programs that exist in the province, I'd say about 31 of them exist largely for revenue generation. That's essentially the purpose of an international program. They recruit international students, they pay fees, and then they occupy seats that are vacant in our schools. We are lucky enough, and we've had the support of the board for 18 years and feel very blessed for that, to actually go beyond that. And we have a non-revenue generating stream, which means that we promote exchange opportunities in our schools for individual students and for groups of students to do one-for-one exchanges and cultural exchanges as well. These are basically, if we had a larger amount of time, if you go back to the last slide, basically in terms of where we are right now, this slide just gives you a pretty good idea of pre-pandemic and post-pandemic sort of numbers and where our program is, where we have recruited from, where we're presently recruiting from. And really, if you're looking for highlights or headlines of this particular slide, what I would say is that for all intents and purposes, other than a couple of countries, Vietnam and China especially, we have essentially rebounded from the pandemic, and the worst times during the pandemic when our numbers, as every program did, declined. We actually did manage to recoup most of them. I think we're 100% capacity and have been ever since 2021. Next slide. I think more exciting is the fact that we still have a large number of graduation students. Our goal as a team, I think, is we could easily be a program that just recruits from Germany, Spain, Italy, and Switzerland. People that want to go skiing, people that want the outdoor activities that the Comox Valley has to offer. But a real goal of our program has been to attract graduation students, so that students can have a multi-year experience here. They can form relationships with teachers, with principals, and then form that base relationship with the community. And what I'm excited about is that, and the headline of this particular slide shows me the need for diversity in our program. Because if you turn the clock back 4 or 5 years and you look far left and you see where we recruited most of our graduation students from, 4 or 5 years ago, we had 60 FTE of Chinese students in this school district. Next year, we have 4. So that tells you that we can't just count on, the assumption that we're always going to get students from a certain country. 5 years ago, we could count on Chinese students like clockwork. The same thing could be said for Vietnam to a lesser extent. We were recruiting more and more from Vietnam, and that market for graduation students has also declined. But we have rebounded significantly in South Korea and Japan. Slide. Other fee-paying programs, we do have short-term programs that we're looking at in Korea, and probably the most significant other fee-paying program would be our summer program. So we have short-term programs. Not a lot of other programs do this in the province, but we think that it's a great value add for our community, gives students a chance to stay a little bit longer for the spring season or start a little earlier for the fall season. Cultural exchanges, all 3 of our schools, and this is where we try to get all schools involved in the nature of intercultural competence and the idea of actually bringing the world to the Comox Valley. We recruit students all the time. 32 other programs do as well. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the same values that we're attracting students for, our own students don't really get those values for, other than getting students in their classes from Germany, from Italy, from Korea, from Japan. But I think it's really important to have that firsthand sort of impression as well. We're one of very few districts that has a really robust cultural exchange program. So what we do is we have 2 to 3 week programs with schools that exist in Thailand, Germany, and Italy. And each one of the 3 schools on a rotation basis basically will have that 3-week experience where we host Italians, Germans, and Thai students in our schools in September and October. and then our students do the reciprocal exchange in March of the following year. So that's the rotation for next year. We're excited. Josie's spearheaded the Thai exchange for next year. It's the first time we've ever, had a school exchange with Thailand, so we're really excited about that and hoping for big things. The one-for-one exchange, my own daughters really took advantage of this, and this for me is, I think, one of the most exciting things that we do, and again, what really separates us from other programs, because we don't make any money doing this. This is something that we do on a cost recovery basis, but essentially this is, I feel, the most educationally rich portion of our program. Presently, this year we had 23 students in Japan, Spain, France, and Germany. And right now, as of this moment, we have 4 students left in France. Everything's gone very, very well. And this is a longer exchange. This is a rich exchange where students will stay 3 months to 6 months in the other country. And then that reciprocal portion is hosted here, where the parents here will host for that same period of time, with the idea being that costs are kept low because we don't charge them international fees, and our students similarly aren't charged fees on the other end. So the homestay program, when I look around the room, I see people who have hosted for us. I see people who are hosting for us in the room. This is essentially the community link with our program. We actually have, the biggest covenant that I think that we have is that we have a relationship with our community. And our program has really always been limited by the size of our homestay program. And this is where local families will host our international students for the length of time that the students are in the community, and then provide them the room, the board, and we provide them an honorarium for doing so. But this, to me, is the best part of what we do as a program. Not the educational piece, this is the business piece. Yunhee's been running this program essentially for 17 years, and if you do have questions, because I know we're going to be flying through this, because I want to be respectful of your schedule, but if you have questions after the fact, please, Yunhee Edmonds, rockstar, she knows it all. Trust me. What keeps us competitive? Right now, I believe that we have a very, very strong team. We have 6 people that work in our office. We have teachers in each one of the 3 high schools. We have a supportive community. We have an outstanding homestay program. And of course, the support of the board and our schools has been absolutely essential as well. Having space in our schools, having that, having the fact that we have the conversations with school principals, with senior management, and with the board prior to doing recruiting every year, so that we're not just filling schools to overcapacity. We have that good relationship, and parents are aware of that as well, which is, I think, we've been real beneficiaries of as well. Oh. Last slide, 8 minutes, 40 seconds. I think we're doing good.
Oh, yeah.
We have lots of time for questions at the end of this. The piece, of course, that everybody's always very interested in, maybe in this room, less so for, for the educational side, but for those people who want a quick snapshot of what the program generates in terms of revenue, the big highlights of this particular screen, if I'm looking at the biggest takeaway for us and what we provide to the school district, is essentially staffing, because we don't generate revenue for the sake of revenue generation. We don't take the $4.5 million, $5 million and buy new shoes with it. We essentially reinvest that money entirely back into the school district in terms of staffing. A huge amount of what we do generate, when you look at the column second from the right, the amount of staffing, that's teaching staffing, that's not our program staffing, that is not ELL staffing that we provide the district. But in terms of teaching staffing, that is staffing at the 3 high schools, as well as myself and our immediate program. It's 10.75 FTE in staffing, which is, we're closing in on about $1.8 million. So essentially, I think the biggest takeaway is that unlike a lot of other programs that exist for sort of that revenue generation in the abstract, where that revenue is basically reinvested in a multitude of different places, including sort of recouping revenue and recouping losses, we've always been very, very fortunate in having a program that exists to re-support the district. And I think one of the reasons that we have community support, one of the reasons we have board support, is because essentially this is where, parents know that that essentially if we have spots that are being taken by international students in, say, a physics 11 class or a chemistry 11 class, they don't say, oh, international students are taking over our schools. We can simply point to this slide and say, well, we are basically, 4 teachers at GP Vanier Secondary, for example, would not have a job if it weren't for the revenues that, generated by the program. So to me, the other piece of this particular slide that may be of some interest is that the surplus that we've actually generated last year is lower than the last couple of years. The reasons for that, you look at the far right, teaching and salary costs have gone up significantly, as have travel costs for us. So essentially, we are trying to kind of figure out what a post-pandemic travel world looks like. And our hope is we have raised our tuition rates. And so when we look at the budget at this time next year, we should be returning to a surplus that looks like it's in the $500,000 to $600,000 range again. That is, of course, after all, staffing has been accounted for and all program revenues have been settled. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. It's 10 minutes and 40 seconds. I mean, I can't do anything. What I would say is if you have any questions, by all means, please, we are always available. We're a 12-month program. We don't exist on a school schedule. We are open in July. We are open in January. Please email me at any time. Josie and Young-hee are experts in their field. I'm hoping that at the end of the school year that we can come back and talk about the vision stuff, talk about aligning our vision as a program to your vision as a board, and what, how I really do feel that those visions do align. A lot of the work that we're doing in January and February, for example, involved taking a real leadership role on a national level in anti-racism training and anti-discrimination training. And Josie and I are doing a community presentation in mid-January with the community, yes, that program, thank you. Yeah, the Immigrant Welcome Society. So that's a public forum. You guys are more than welcome to attend as well, but it's, it'll be more exciting in June than it is now. This is basically just a recap. But Jeremy hasn't heard any of it either, so this is pretty good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your presentation and the presentation of your team and all of the work that the team does and helping the trustees and the superintendent unpack the layers to the opportunity for international student program. And I think we do have a few minutes for questions, if any of the trustees have questions. And Ms. Chair Leslie's had her hand up 3 times.
Yeah.
So she goes first.
Excellent. My question is regarding the diversity of students who take the opportunity to go on the non-revenue exchanges, as well as the single student exchanges. So do you find that there is a diverse cross-section of students who take advantage of this?
That's a great question. I would say to this point, like last year, I'll give you an example. I would say short answer is no, because it's been, for whatever reason, we've tried every year to kind of present the opportunities to all 3 high schools in particular. And last year, out of the 23 students that we had going abroad to Spain, to Germany, to Japan, and France, 23 of them, all of them, 100% of them came from Mark Isfeld Secondary. So for me, that's a huge problem. I mean, my daughters were both graduates of that school, and it's a great school and everything, but, I taught at Highland for 11 years. I started my teaching career at Vanier. They're amazing schools. And these opportunities are not, especially the one-for-one exchange, where really it's meant to be a financial equalizer. It's not meant to be something that's just there for, the people that have money and that have means to do so, because we take away, other than the flight, essentially, we don't charge, there's no fees involved, there's a minor program fee involved, but we try to make it as equitable as possible so that people can take advantage of that. That message has been a challenging one. But this year, out of the 27 applicants this year, we had 5 from Highland, 3 from Vanier, And yes, the rest from ISFELD, but that's a constant challenge, Susan, and that's something that it's really, really important to me that the message gets out to the entire community and not just a single school community that advocates for their students more loudly than maybe the other communities do. So I'm trying to get into the schools, trying to get that message through to everybody, because I think it's a great opportunity that shouldn't be limited by finances, because through fundraising, often with a year in advance, schools can fundraise that money almost to its entirety. Students can individually fundraise and make those things happen. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, can I just make a comment? Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here to present and learning more about a great program. I would just add a tiny bit of voice to that last slide where there's a contribution of revenue and FT. I think one of the pieces that I deeply appreciate about our international program is the incredible contribution that our international students make in terms of a multicultural, diverse setting within our schools. The other piece that I really appreciate about our international students is that they so often set a tone and example that we strive to have all of our students, which is embracing and engaging in all of the opportunities that our schools offer. Our international students flock to every club, every sports team, every opportunity, because they're here to enjoy that. And so often we have some of our local students missing out on some of those amazing opportunities. So I would just add my voice that the students that come really do contribute. Not only do they bring their own culture, but they contribute in such a positive way to school and district culture. And I think one of the pieces that I value about our program is that they're individually cared for and shepherded because of the caring staff of our international team. So yeah, thank you.
But really productive kids as well. I mean, they come, I review every report card. I just reviewed 260 report cards from three high schools. And out of all of those 263 students, we have maybe 3 students of concern academically. Like we're talking about high performing kids that want, and like Jeremy says, they set the bar academically, socially. It's a great, it's a great example or model to set for a lot of our students. Joining teams and clubs they didn't even know existed in the schools because the international kids are asking about them. That's actually pretty remarkable.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a quick question and curiosity about the families who are support families.
Yeah.
Are they mostly drawn from like families with kids in our district, or is there a fair number who maybe don't have kids currently in the district? And then also kind of a follow-up how you kind of screen and then support the families who do take on the responsibility, which I imagine is both really fulfilling, but also can have some challenging moments, especially with teenagers.
Yeah, I know that Uni's she's chomping at the bit to answer at least a part of that question. For starters, I would say the vast majority of them, and I know Yuni, you're going to agree with me when we talk, we've done everything for marketing. We've tried like newspaper ads, radio ads, we've tried TV, we've done everything, and almost none of that really makes an impact. Social media, Facebook pushes, like Instagram, you name it, we've done it. And the single biggest, draw for all of our homestay families has been word of mouth and email communication to school parents and things like that. So that's how essentially we get most of our parents. For screening, I don't know, Yunhee, do you want to, how do we screen parents? I was a homestay parent.
Yeah, it's a little easier.
1, 2, 3. So host families apply, or they send us an email to ask how do I become a host family. So I tell them to apply online. So once we receive their application, we do the first screening that way by studying their application form. And then we ask for a criminal reference check, driver's abstract, and once they, and then we do a home visit with the clipboard with check. And then, and we also, when we vet the home, we check the host family as well. And we try to make a best match with the student and the host families. And we let students and host families know that sometimes it's not a good fit. It's not going to work. We could have the best student, we could have the best homestay. If it doesn't work, I can't make any student live with a host family that they don't want to live with. So I always tell the host families at orientation we do once beginning of the school year, that students' needs come first. They're minors and we look after them. So we try to get them to communicate with homestay families first if there is any concerns, like some silly things like having ham sandwiches every day kind of thing. I mean, it does happen. Students do complain about stuff like that. So I try to get them to communicate with each other. If it doesn't work, then I get involved to try to, have conversation, three-way conversation about that. And then if it doesn't work, I move the student. But we do have and then we also let the host families know that they can't, just because they host 1 year, it doesn't mean that they can host the following year. And they sign an agreement with 2-page, number 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's very detailed and rigorous questions, and they have to make sure that they're looking after our students. So I say our students, school district and host families and natural parents, we're doing it all together.
Yeah, and such an important piece of what we do as well, Shannon, just because honestly, I mean, not only were my wife and I were a host family for 8 years, I think 7 years in our program. My daughter went to Japan for a semester, and after that, we fell in love with the idea of, introducing our own children to, internationalization. And, it's really, to me, it was always really important to have that family experience, right? I mean, a lot of other districts, I won't point at any specific one, but I will say larger school districts in the province, you very much get an Airbnb or, kind of one of those hotel kind of experiences where you have a room, you get meals, and there you go. And for me, I think that connection is everything. To me, and that's where real language learning happens as well. I mean, you learn language in school, you go to history class, math class, but the richest part of the learning in terms of language acquisition, every study will tell you that's that conversation at the dinner table. It's the language that you learn in the home, how to ask for things, how to be polite, how to socialize, all of those things. So for me, that home experience is key. And one of the reasons that we'll always be probably the size that we are. Because we could have 400 more students. We could. We are good salespeople. We could do that. But, if we start, denigrating sort of the strength of our program and getting that Airbnb experience, we're lost. I think really we lose focus on the support that we have from you, the support that we have from the community and from the schools. So,
thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you for having us. You guys keep thanking us, but we're thanking you.
Well, it's a learning opportunity for us, again, to build our layers of the great work in our district, and the fact that it's been going for so long and has the reputation that it does is it shows. Yeah. Thank you.
We owe a lot of it to you, so thank you very much.
And you are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting.
That sounds great. We'll just wait outside just to confer, and then I'll be back in seconds.
Thank you, team.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
They've been working on signing my family up for a couple of years now.
Yes. We'll follow up.
All right.
Did you?
I got there.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Email any questions. We're always available.
Thank you.
Right, they didn't stay. Next is information regarding our next open committee of the whole, which will take place January the 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. here. And we have 3 presentation topics for that meeting: library education, technology sustainability report, and Lake Park Society. And moving on to number 9 in our agenda is our strategic direction section, and I'll turn this over to start.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a great opportunity to segue from international. When Greg mentioned that he, Jose, and Young-hee are great salespeople, I will remind you that what they're selling is what happens every day in our schools. They go internationally and they share both about the Comox Valley and the rich educational opportunities that we offer. And people spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to send their children to this district to have that experience. And it's perfect timing because having spent the fall getting to learn more about this learning community and visiting schools, I can tell you that their job of selling our district and the opportunities in it is actually a pretty reasonable job selling so many great opportunities. So I think I would say if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then we probably have a bit of a novel. So tonight I have the opportunity to introduce Craig Sarakin, who's our manager of communications. I would argue that one of the things that districts don't historically do well is celebrating the great things that happen every day in our schools. And I really appreciate Craig's effort in that, not only crisis communications, but really working to try to bring to light and give air around these great stories that happen. And so just before Craig starts, I would just echo Board Chair Waite's comments around wishing our entire learning community all the best of the winter break and all the best of 2024. So Craig, over to you.
Thank you, and I promise to be much faster than last time. So appreciate you giving me the podium again. It's an honor to be speaking to you today from the traditional territories of Comox First Nations. Super lucky to be able to get out there in our beautiful Comox Valley communities and share these stories with you as part of my job. I truly think I'm blessed to be able to do what I am. And I might not take you to Thailand. We were in a beautiful beach today. It was beautiful. So here we go. I'll walk you through kind of the year to date in communications land. And this is kind of all good news stories so far. So we started off the year kind of usual back to school barbecues. Jay and I like to get out to anything with free food. So of course we headed out to Nides, and this is a cool event where they have families in who come in from around the area, and they have barbecue and bouncy castles. So we been out there the last couple of years. Right off the bat, we get into Consent Week, which is of course one of our district PAC's big initiatives that they've been leading over the last few years and had quite a bit of work going on at the provincial level. And it's been really good to see our schools kind of taking the ball and running with it now. It's year 2 we've done this, and there was more stuff happening for Consent Week this year, and we hope that next week they kind of pick up where they left off. It's a super busy time of year. Terry Fox runs right off the bat, so schools are organizing their kids, their fundraising, and a lot of our schools have their Terry Fox runs right off the bat. I was fortunate to get to Aspen. They always put on a great show there with dancing and music and a barbecue. Truth and Reconciliation Week. It's the second time we've had a whole week of activities in our district. Once again, this is something, it's in my time here, I've seen schools kind of really embracing this. There's more and more activities going on this year in schools for this week. And of course, we had our beautiful presentation of the rug from Elder Ramona Johnson. Salmon Day at a Coal Puntledge. I don't know if you've ever been able to get down to this event. It's super special event. Literally, it was pouring rain that day, but there was hundreds of people down from the community, families taking in the booths from various nonprofits, local groups, speaking about the river health, ecosystems, the health of the Comox Valley. Had Principal Burdette down there checking out the fund. So if you ever get the chance, I highly recommend getting down there. They even had some fish to dissect, which was really popular with the students. And our superintendent, of course, was out doing school visits. I don't know, I didn't share these photos too widely, but we had these, Lisa Scheck, Principal Scheck shared some photos of him meeting with students. So it's good to see Jeremy getting down and sitting down with students and connecting with all those schools. I think he's just about done his tour.
Yep.
Almost.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we have the Walk for Wenjack, which is part of the Gord Downey Foundation events highlighting Wenjack's Walk, of our Indigenous kind of education that goes on. And this event was really cool. It was out in Cumberland.
They have Woodstone Festival out there, which is a really great event, but they brought it into the school. I made a little montage of kind of that day when I visited there. So let's get the sound on here. Okay, the sound doesn't work. Anyways, it was a really cool event. A lot of the local artists who kind of live in town, others came in from Vancouver and stuff, put on a show for the students. They had concerts going on in different classrooms. The tickets, students all got tickets, so they kind of got the festival experience. It was really cool. They got them all up dancing and partying. It was one of the more interesting events I've seen one of our schools take on, and it was something led by PAC. They've been pushing to get more music up there, and it was a really awesome event, kind of a good Cumberland event where you had community, you had all the musicians in there, and the kids were having a blast. So that was a really fun event to see and take in. On to the next. And there's Megan, who's the PAC person who's kind of leading that charge. Soon after that, we went out to Hornby Island. They were unveiling their new accessible swing set, which you see down on the right. They've been fundraising. They had community-wide fundraisers where they're raising money for that swing set. So that's really cool. It's the only accessible swing playground on the whole island. So we're really looking forward to kind of not only having our families, but other families when they're visiting Hornby can come and enjoy the swing set during the summer when it's super busy there. Of course, many of our families have parents who are active service members. Most of our schools, all of our schools have pretty significant Remembrance Day ceremonies. I always try and get out to a couple. Isfeld had a really big one this year. Huebman had another really nice one that we were able to get to. It's always something I suggest folks check out in our schools. This event was probably one of the more special things I've ever taken in. Gina Taylor, our physical literacy teacher, brought wheelchairs in for students to try. And of course, we've had this young girl who's actually in a wheelchair, and she was able to kind of show off some of her skills to her colleagues. This little video I made is definitely the most liked and shared, and it's got the most social media traction of any post we've ever put. I think it's several thousand views with several hundred likes. So it's a really cool story that I was really fortunate to be able to take in and share with the community. We have been, at least as a district, I've been to the Big House twice this year. Very fortunate to take in the Kumagway lessons from the Kumagway Society. Keisha Everson was an amazing host for the sessions when we were down there. We had grade 4s in for one session. They also had some grade 7s in, and then the second session on was for grade 11 and 12 students taking English First Peoples. So those were really special events. Some of our ISWs did some great work kind of organizing that. And our curriculum teacher, Lelena Jules, did an amazing job organizing that day. So really thankful to be able to come in and experience those events at the Big House. And I know some of our trustees have been there for those, and we're always very blessed to be able to take those in. Band and Choir Festival. This is back again. I know I saw some of our trustees hosting the events. A really cool event where the students kind of get live feedback from adjudicators as they're performing. It's on the fly. It's really cool. They get world famous adjudicators who come in and provide feedback. So that's a great event that we organize, and it's been on for many years in our district. And it's a huge plus for our students who get to take part in it. Right after that, this is the first year our district's held Careers and Related Activities Week. We're going to be picking up more of it next year. It's a province-wide initiative, but each of our high schools, Glacier View, Highland, Vanier, and Isfeld, all had significant careers days. And I was only able to take in Vanier's, but it was really impressive. They had tons of different local businesses. They had the paramedics, they had VHA, they had, of course, CFB Comox in there, the Courtney Fire was in there. students are really interested in these sessions. I think something that they can see real tangible careers, they can think of themselves doing this job. So it's really interesting to see how engaged are our students in these types of events. And kudos to the careers team for organizing that event. That was super impressive. We also had our LEA event at Comox First Nation recently. And it was an event where we were giving our principals, school leaders, vice principals, an overview of the LEA so that they have a thorough understanding of what the LEA is. They know what our responsibilities and our role is, and we're moving forward and implementing the LEA so that they make sure we're serving our students and our schools the best we can and that we're meeting the terms of that agreement. So we're soon to be posting our new website. We'll have kind of the LEA laid out for people to kind of go and get a clear understanding of it. We'll be getting that live soon. Share that with the public. Year 20 of everybody deserves a smile. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. Chantal Stefan, who you see in the middle, she's kind of the leader of this amazing endeavor. This year they handed out over 1,600 care packages to people in need. And I know it's a really special event. I try and go in, taking in a couple parts of it. I see them when they're handing out their bags. I go in when they're packing their bags. It's really cool to see our students learning about helping people. It's got a great social justice aspect to it. It's a really special event, and just to see how much work goes into making it happen. It's actually incredible. It's a really well-oiled machine, and kudos to everyone involved and the team, the EDIS team at Pumpmidge. They're a very motivated squad, and they do a great job each year. This story is really special. Group of Indigenous students at Royston Elementary have been working on making blankets for KFN elders. They're fidget blankets. They come in on their own time on recess and lunch, and they work with Twyla McDonald, who's the ISW at Royston. And I was able to take in a day with them recently. And I made this little video. I know the sound's not playing, but it kind of shows some images of kind of what they've been up to. What really stood out to me was the teamwork. One girl showing her friend how to sew, telling her friend about how she learned how to sew from her grandmother. And she was, the peer-to-peer learning that's going on is incredible. And the friendships in this group was really special. They were all really excited to go down to KFN to present the blankets. So Twyla was able to take 4 of them down on Monday to the health center, and we presented the blankets to the KFN health team, who are going to be handing them out to elders for the Christmas break. So it's a really special story, and it's just little stuff like that's happening in our schools every day that I try to get out to. I think it's really important part of my job to get out in schools and to share these stories, so that I'm not just stuck in the office here. And as I said, I'm really lucky to be able to do this job. I was recently at the robotics tournament at Highland. I went in on a Saturday. I think I've shared this in the other years. Really cool event. All of these students are much smarter than me, and the teamwork, the collaboration, the learning that's happening in that room is incredible. So if you ever get a chance, go down there and check it out. It's a really special event. It's like a sporting event, but it's probably kids who don't play a lot of sports. So it's a really awesome event. And of course, it's holiday concert season. I took this photo of Lisa Scheck, who's one of our 2 retiring principals who are leaving our district this Christmas break. So Lisa was kind of emotional at this event when she was watching this last Christmas concert. So I just wanted to capture this photo of her. I just thought it was a really special day to be able to take in. And we were out at Miracle Beach today, and I know many of the schools have kind of holiday concerts going on right now, which most families and students are participating in. So that's it. Year to date so far, I kept it to under 15 minutes this time as promised. You can always contact me at communications@sd71 with story ideas, questions, comments. happy to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you're making everybody aspire to want to do the kind of work that you do, to be able to see our schools and connect with students through the lens that you're connecting with them. Wondering if any of the trustees have any questions or comments? Oh, great. Awesome.
Just, it was wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
That's all the good part of my job.
Yeah.
My job, of course, is, crisis communications, lockdown, the Hornby bus breaking down.
The good stuff.
It's good.
And thank you for your time today.
And, it being winter concert season, I had the opportunity to attend one of the winter concerts with Trustee McCannell Keene for separate reasons, but the same theme. And one of the grandparents that was sitting beside me said, this was the most beautifully sounding winter concert that they'd ever been to. Grandparents can always be a little biased, but it was an amazing event. And then I had the opportunity to go to the Highland winter concert, which the band at Highland is absolutely amazing in all the levels and all the work that they've done. And the students are so supportive of each other, and it's just wonderful to watch that kind of enthusiasm and growth and educational learning that they do. Yeah.
If I just might briefly add, the teamwork, the IT team who does the sound for these concerts. It's nice that you said that, because at Miracle Beach today, it was fantastic. The sound, the lights, so kudos to that team. Thanks for.
Okay. I'll be quick. That particular concert, I felt, I was looking around at these other sort of fellow parents and saw Ms. Riley, who very kindly just, is our sort of arts lead in the district, and seeing every person in that gym, and I'm sure every other, just bobbing away. And then these two music teachers, one was doing her final concert, particularly at Royston, and Ms. Kay, who's doing many to come, I'm sure. And they were just balls of energy. These two teachers, just the kids, whether they thought it was silly or not, could not have not been loving every moment of it, because their teachers were so deeply invested, and every person. I heard watching all these people together, and I went, this is so cool, because I remember when I was a kid thinking it was a big deal, but to sit there and not just be going, oh, look at the kids, they're so happy, but seeing the energy in the room was palpable. So.
To be fair, your mom went really early and got you row seats. I was in row 4 and I thought I was doing pretty good.
Very, very, very involved on the pack, because we can't be. So, wonderful.
But Craig, thank you for in the way you did. It's just wonderful. Thank you. We all try to be at so many events, but we can't be at them all. And it's great to have so many people be able to bring back information to all that. Thank you. Now, I'm sure equally as exciting.
Yeah, that's a tough transition from a presentation like that. Statement of financial.
Secretary Treasurer, in case, unless the superintendent has anything else that they'd like to add. Okay, you're just going to let him.
You bet. It'll be just as difficult to segue after the answer.
Okay.
Thank you, through the chair. So on page 11 of your board package, you have a briefing note from Candace Hilton, the Director of Finance, on the statement of financial information. This is an annual report the board is required to submit. The two major components of this deals with employee remuneration and expenses, and we are required to list in detail any individual who's earning more than $75,000 per year, and also our statement of suppliers, goods and services that are purchased, and any businesses who have transactions greater than $25,000 with the district. On page 14 in your package is a little bit of an inventory of the information that's included in the document. And if you flip over to page 16, there's a timeline of when this information needs to be submitted by the district. You can see the top 4 items were a part of our approval of the audited financial statements. that were approved by the end of September. And then the last 4 components of them are due by the end of December, which is being presented to you at this moment. So what you will find in the package is a schedule of debt, which we have none, schedule of guarantee and indemnification, which we have none, schedule of remunerations, severance, and payments for goods and services start on page 66 and go through to the very end. So there is a recommended motion that the board receive the statement of financial information for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023 as presented. So certainly happy to answer any questions trustees may have.
Any questions? Part of this information is as part of our audited financial statements. That's correct?
That is correct.
And then the additional layers.
That's correct.
So seeing no questions, looking for a trustee to the recommendation.
Well, that the Board of Education of School District 71 Comox Valley received the statement of financial information for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023 as presented.
Seconder, trustee Masek. And any last opportunity for discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to board standing committee reports. We had no open committee of the whole meeting in December, so there are no committee reports to share or approve. And then we'll move on to board business. And we'll start with the trustee report from Trustee Leslie on the Indigenous Education Council, found on page 84 of the package.
A very brief report, which wishes everybody warmth and love, whether you're gathering with family or friends, and hope that you have some wonderful care and food and opportunities to rejuvenate over the break. The really important piece here is the IEC is excited to begin the collaborative consultation process with the board and has given us the go-ahead to invite a consultant and plan a date.
Any questions on that trustee report? Okay. Moving on, there are two pieces, two documents under, sorry. Maybe I need some of the candy. The trustee school liaison list for 2023-2024 is on page 85 of the document. And for anybody who might have compared it to last year's document, it's we've kept it exactly the same. And recognizing that we do this at an odd time of year in terms of the school year, and we're going to be exploring a way that aligns better in future with the school year. So we didn't make any changes to the trustee school liaison list. And then the second document is the board committee list, which includes positions that were elected at our board meeting in November, as well as board standing committees and other committees within our district and within our community. And again, we didn't make a significant number of changes. Some of our trustees, it was their first full year that they have been trustees out of our Board of Education, and our list didn't start last year until I believe January. So we're trying to provide some continuity as well for our community and for community groups that we work with. That's by way of information on those two documents. I'm just opening that up to conversation if any of the trustees have any questions or comments on any of those two related documents. Okay. All right. And under board correspondence, we do not have any board correspondence to report. And before I move to public question period, just checking to see if there's anything that I've missed in tonight's agenda package. Even with 2 presentations, we are doing extremely well in terms of our time for our meeting tonight. So moving on to the public question period, just checking to see if we have anything electronically that's been received. No, thank you. And anything from any of the members of the public that are in attendance today. Just checking.
I'll just, through the chair, I'd like to thank all the trustees and the chair that you'll be continuing to attend PAC meetings for the remainder of the school year. That's wonderful. The feedback is that we appreciate your attendance when you can make it. And we thank you very much for your time and commitment. And we hope you all have a wonderful winter break.
On that note, looking for a trustee who would like to adjournment. Trustee Howe, seconder. I think everybody put their hands up. Trustee Aldinger, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. The meeting is adjourned at 8. Thank you all very much.
Ho, ho. You're so fast. Like,
are you feeling bad?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, questions. Should we have?
Didn't have a lot of motion.
But it was really short.
System off.
Good.